Okay. Leah McCullough's story is one of heal or heal thyself. Over 8 years ago, she recovered her health from fibromyalgia and a host of other conditions, including chronic fatigue, depression, irritable bowel, post-traumatic stress disorder, migraines, infertility, and morbid obesity. She went on to have a baby and lose over 100 pounds. She now runs and races and has even completed the Air Force half marathon. She's written a book, the critically acclaimed Freedom from Fibromyalgia, 7 Steps to Complete Recovery, which received a thumbs-up review from the Journal of the Weston A. Price Foundation. She has a blog and has articles which have appeared internationally. We're very excited to have Leah McCullough today.
Everybody hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
A little loud.
All right.
Okay, how about now? Is that better? Good morning, good morning.
Morning.
How many of you would like to have your fibromyalgia patients running races? Has anybody got any fibromyalgia patients that runs races? All right, I don't know how to do this. Huh? Put on my necklace?
Right here.
No? Now, what about now? Good. Thumbs up and backward. All right. So does anybody have fibromyalgia patients that can run races? That could if they wanted to? You do? Awesome, awesome. And I want to say something. You guys are some of the happiest, healthiest healthcare professionals I've ever met. And I just am really excited to be here. I'm very honored to be here. And then the other thing about being in North Carolina, first of all, I haven't heard much Southern accents, which is kind of strange to me, being from Dayton, Ohio. But I'm from Northern Kentucky, and we say y'all in Northern Kentucky. So I moved 70 miles north, just 70 miles north from Dayton, Ohio, and I can't say y'all anymore. I gotta say you guys, but now I'm in North Carolina for a few days, y'all's coming back. When I was sick with fibromyalgia, I was sick for about 7 years before I received a diagnosis, like a lot of people. I was on 9 prescription medications, 3 of which were just for pain. I was on anti-anxiety medications. I was on antidepressants, like a lot of your patients. The pain was unrelenting. When you talk about the pain of fibromyalgia, it always sounds like you're exaggerating, and it's indescribably awful. It never goes away. About a year after I was diagnosed, year 7, and it was like one of the happiest and saddest days of my life. I was happy because I felt vindicated. There was a name for what was wrong with me instead of saying, well, you might have multiple sclerosis or it's all in your head. Heard that a lot. So at year 7, I was diagnosed. I was happy that I had a name for it, but I was really sad because there's nothing you can do for it. It's basically a life sentence, and you're just probably going to get worse over time. And that was my reality. I was hurt in an accident at work about a year after I was diagnosed, and that led to me becoming disabled. I was disabled from working. I was in bed 12 to 16 hours a day for a period of 6 years. And even though I was in bed, I couldn't sleep. I was too. In this community, you hear, "I'm so tired, I can't sleep," which is crazy, right? And so in bed 12 to 16 hours a day. I had such issues with sleep. At one point, I was given the date rape drug Rohypnol as a prescription, and it came by a special courier to my house, and even that didn't help. So I couldn't sleep. I was so depressed, even though I was taking all those medications, that I was suicidal. And my family thought I was on 2 new prescription medications, and I lost most of my friends because I couldn't make any commitments, because I'd be a flake if I'd make a commitment, I couldn't go. And I felt really, really sad and lonely. We went into debt. We went from 2 incomes to 1 overnight because of the accident at work. And my husband had to work 2 jobs to keep us afloat, and he also had to do the housework, a lot of it on They robbed me of my self-esteem. It robbed me of, I gained a bunch of weight. I wasn't able to have a baby. I wasn't able to be a good wife. I wasn't able to work. I wasn't able to function. I had to choose between taking a shower or doing something in the microwave most days for my self-care. So thinking about all this one night, I got really, really sad and lonely and depressed, and I started to cry, and I was in bed, and I was crying so hard that the bed started to shake. And because I was bawling, and the shaking got so bad that it made me seasick. So to continue, because I wasn't finished, I went to the floor, and I was banging my fists on the floor, just bawling. And I really didn't think I could sink lower than that. You know how life is. The situation can always be worse. So that's when my husband walked in from his second job, and he saw me on the floor bawling. And the scene of pain in his eyes, the look of helplessness, the look of devastation, and seeing the love of his life on the floor bawling, and he's just doing everything he can to help us. It was more than I could take. And I would love to tell you that we had some sort of epiphany that night that helped us get through that, but we didn't. We just continued living lives of quiet desperation, like millions of people are. And we just went on with our lives. I forgot to show you a picture of what I used to look like. So that was me in 2007. It's actually kind of hard for me to look at that picture because I thought I was smiling when that picture was taken, but my brain and my facial expressions weren't quite synced. And that was a good day for me. I was actually out of the house. That was 6 months later. So, in my not so dark moments, I started meditating on optimal health. I had this audacious idea, optimal health. And within about a year, every single aspect of my life changed for the better. It started the ball rolling. Physical things happened for me to get well, but that was what started the ball rolling as meditation on optimal health. Other people say they've recovered from fibromyalgia, and sometimes they're 40 to 60% better. They're still on prescription medications. They can't have the kind of jobs they want because they have kind of desk job or something like that. And back when I was sick, I tried just about everything you could think of to get well. I was fortunately financially well off enough to do that. And I could get maybe 10% better. If I could have gotten 40 to 60% better doing anything, I would have done that. And I would have been really grateful for that. I probably would have stopped with that. But as I started my real recovery, I started to think maybe I could get my whole life back. And that's actually what happened. I got my whole life back. I am 110% recovered. I am better off now than I was in my early 20s. I started my recovery in January of 2008. Within 3 weeks, I felt so much better, I thought I was cured. I wasn't cured. I had a long way to go, but that was like the dramatic improvement I had. Within, by March, I was off half the prescriptions, so just 3 months. And you know how on TV, when the guy wins the Super Bowl, the quarterback wins the Super Bowl, they say, "Where are you going?" He says, "I'm going to Disney." I went to Disney. It was the first time in years I'd actually been able to travel, so I actually got to go to Disney land. Then in July, I was off all the prescription medications, and for the first time in about 20 years, I was completely out of pain, and I stayed out of pain. Which, no matter what I did, sometimes I was tired, sometimes I wasn't, sometimes I could sleep, sometimes I couldn't. I was always in pain. And now I'm not, and I haven't been in pain for 8 years. Okay. I am a real person that was desperately ill, and I'd already given up hope. And I got so well that not only did I lose weight, and I lost 70 pounds by July, 3 months after I was off all the prescriptions, I had the biggest shock of my life. I became pregnant at 41. So, And he's now, and he's healthy. I had a healthy baby, I had a smooth pregnancy, and the only time I've ever taken pain medications was I had a C-section, unfortunately. But that's it. And he's 6 years old, and he's happy, and he's healthy, and he's a good little boy. And I'm just so grateful I'm a mother now. And the important thing is, I have friends with fibromyalgia that have children, and they're not the kind of parents they would like to be because they just don't have the energy or whatever. I can keep up with him, except for when he was 2. Sometimes I couldn't keep up with him. Even a 20-year-old sometimes can't keep up with a 2-year-old. So I can keep up with him now that he's 6. He's slowed down a little bit. So today we're going to learn about fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue symptoms and causes. This is a holistic system, so it's broken up into physical and psychological components. And then if you feel inspired and you want to learn more about what we're doing, we have a professional certification course that we can tell you guys about at our table after this lecture. So the symptoms of fibromyalgia, I'm sure you guys are all aware of it: the fatigue, sleep disturbance, body weight pain, and a lot of times there's ongoing infections. The problem with this is that the symptoms are pretty vague. They can be a lot of different things. They're based on symptoms. Right now, there's not a blood test. There's one in the works, from what I understand. It's important to rule out other causes. Fibromyalgia gets this reputation of being a garbage can diagnosis because I think, not you guys, but other practitioners, they don't rule out other things. And the tender point exam is the gold standard. Fibromyalgia can be, a lot of times, mold and other allergies, candida overgrowth. Now, people with fibromyalgia also can have these things, but sometimes this is the primary issue, and if that's cleared up, then everything else goes away. Coexisting conditions. Nobody dies of fibromyalgia. They just die of the coexisting conditions, right? IBS. On the food intolerances, almost everybody has issues with gluten, with fibromyalgia. That's the first thing they say. And then they say get rid of dairy. And then I was asked, well, how come you're the only one who says don't get rid of dairy? Dairy's a grass-fed, pasture-raised dairy. It's raw. It's a very good source of fat. Yes, ma'am.
We can't hear you very well. Could you maybe adjust the microphone a little bit?
Try holding it.
What about now? Hold it. Can we just hold it? All right. All right.
I'm sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, that's okay. I was gonna think. I was gonna say something about something.
Dairy.
Dairy. Yeah.
Grass-fed dairy.
Raw dairy. Raw dairy is a wonderful source of saturated fat. At the bottom line, people are really sick and they're really hurting. Where does one disease end and the other begin? Well, they're all connected. Okay, so the possible cause of fibromyalgia, and people, by the time someone presents with fibromyalgia, there's some things that have already been going on for a long time with them. So they might present with fibromyalgia after an accident or after like an infection, or they have surgery. And like in my case, there was PTSD and there was a psychological trauma. The recessive genes. Okay, so the first time I walked into a fibromyalgia support group meeting, there was more redheads there than at family reunion. And I thought, this does not bode well for me. No way. I've never seen so many redheads in the same room. That scared me. Anyway, the MTHFR gene mutation, that's a big thing right now. I haven't been tested. I assume I have it. I just assume because might as well. The vaccines, there's some talk that there was a retrovirus introduced in some vaccines that do an HIV-like type of thing, and that's why people have fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue. I will say I had a lot of exotic vaccines in my day, which I'll tell you about in a minute. And I have aunts on both sides of my family that have fibromyalgia, and they are both RN medical nurses. That's the only thing in common that I can think of that they have. Exposure to toxins, nutritional deficiencies. I know people that get better just by adding X nutritional supplement and they get better. The current treatments for fibromyalgia, prescription drugs to address pain, mood, sleep, and the other coexisting conditions. A lot of supplements, a lot of over-the-counter NSAIDs like Tylenol, Motrin. The average person I meet is either on 9 to 12 prescriptions, or they're on 0 and they're just white knuckling it. They're just barely hanging on. Okay. Yes, ma'am?
I just had a question about the gluten component.
Yes.
Have you done any distinction between organic gluten-containing grains?
Right.
I'm just wondering if it's more a glyphosate issue or if it's definitely gluten.
Well, the population that I'm dealing with, they're not going to know the difference between, like organic einkorn with a lot of raw butter on it, like how that would affect your body in a piece of Wonder Bread. So that affects your body completely differently. So we've had a lot of success just going grain-free, gas diet style. Now I've recovered without going grain-free. I add a little grain in my diet from various sources, but I pretty much try to go organic. But I think that like what Stephanie was talking about is definitely a part of the puzzle, and it's in all the food to some degree or another. So when you're dealing with people with fibromyalgia, you're dealing with the most sensitive of the sensitive, and their digestive systems are damaged, which is the one blanket statement you can say about people with fibromyalgia. So the grains are very difficult to digest. The psychological counseling, I think a lot of times that can do more harm than good, especially if it's not someone who is realizing that the person with fibromyalgia is dealing with an illness, a physical illness, and they're dealing with depression and anxiety based on those physical ideas. It's not because there's a flaw in their character. On the chiropractic, physical therapy, massage, acupuncture, all that stuff, the results usually aren't lasting. They can help, but they're usually not lasting. What patients are looking for is something fast, simple, and easy, and practitioners want something fast, simple, and easy, and predictable. And when you guys hear about what I did, it's going to sound so easy. Oh, yay. So I'm going to do a vulnerability exercise here, and I'm going to tell you my case history. And so I'm like kind of freaked out in a room full of doctors, and I'm telling you all my personal information here. So be nice to me, okay? Later. I was in the Army during the Persian Gulf War. It's also known as Desert Storm. So I think I was living the perfect storm for developing an illness at the time when you look back on it. And I happened to my body manifested fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. I was high stress. I was in the Army during the war, right? That's kind of stressful. I was also being sexually harassed, so super stressful. That says poor diet. I thought I was eating a healthy diet. I was eating low fat, and I was drinking Diet Coke, and I was doing the carbohydrate thing back then. I sprained my ankle, but it never got better. But I had rheum on it, and I kept spraining it, spraining the other one, and my back started hurting. So these injuries just kind of piled up. A damaged digestive system. So that was really apparent. I had to go to the emergency room for what I thought was appendicitis. They did an x-ray, and it wasn't appendicitis. It was actually so full of poop that I thought I was having spasms and stuff. So that's an indicator, I think, of a damaged digestive system. They had mercury in my teeth. I had vaccines. I had more vaccines than a normal person. I did not have the anthrax vaccine, and I was told that if I spent one day in the Persian Gulf, that I would have been diagnosed with Gulf War syndrome. But I had bubonic plague, four-shot series. I had yellow fever, and then I had whatever else. Who knows what they give you? I had a history of depression since I was a teenager, childhood trauma, possible Lyme infection. I was bit by a tick. I didn't have a bullseye rash, but I had a rash, and a lot of the things, the symptomatic came after all this. I was in the Army for about a year when I became symptomatic of fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, and I had the antibiotics and birth control pills. And to stay up late in college, I started smoking, which was really stupid. And I quit years later. And then I drank a little bit of alcohol here and there, like 20-year-olds do. So I was sick for nearly 20 years, and I spent tens of thousands of dollars on alternative and conventional medicine, and I found answers. I did. And I wrote down everything I knew at the time, 3 years ago, in my book, Freedom from Fibromyalgia, 7 Steps to Complete Recovery. And I systematized it so somebody could buy the book and help themselves out. The 7 steps are up here, and it's broken down into 2 parts. The first part, the first 3 are to get them out of bed, to get them going, to get some energy in them. Then the second part is complete health restoration, to do all the other things they need to do to completely restore their health. When I was talking about the meditation and things like that, your thoughts matter. Exercise with a question mark, because when you can't exercise your way out of fibromyalgia, it is detrimental a lot of times when they're really, really sick. So instead of having to realize 7 steps, it's easier to know 3 words that begin with the letter D. So we have 3 words that begin with the letter D for the physical part and the emotional part. We're going to start with the physical part. We're going to go in depth in that pretty well today. The detox, digestion, and diet. And so the factors with that is fast, so people see results. But it's got to be gentle at the same time, because we're dealing with the most sensitive of the sensitive of adults. Simple, something that they can do with brain fog and lack of mental clarity. Easy physically, like a lot of times you'll see on TV or these juicing protocols, and you have to go get this, and you got to get that, and you got to make this and make that. It's just not going to happen with somebody who has crushing fatigue. And predictable. In about 3 weeks you'll see this, in about 6 weeks you'll see this, in about 10 weeks you'll see that. That's predictable. Our world, our modern world with toxins, has let loose chemicals that have never been found in nature. And the people with fibromyalgia, they're kind of like the canaries in the coal mine. With the bad diet, the artificial ingredients, mercury, vaccines, and then all the external toxins. You can't walk around holding your breath. I mean, that's the room we're in now is off-gassing all kinds of stuff. But if you're healthy and your digestive system and everything's working, your detoxification system's working, it doesn't bother you. The toxins lead to damage, which lead to dysfunction. And in some people, that manifests as fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue. The person who helped me recover is holistic therapist Victoria Smith. And so my 7 steps are based on what she taught me, and she mentored me. And I'll tell you more about her in the lecture. But she says a big mistake a lot of people make is they try to fix toxicity with nutrition. And it doesn't work. What a lot of people do is they try to stimulate the all the organs of elimination to detoxify the body. Most people with fibromyalgia, if they don't have a lot of capacity for doing most of these measures, and if they do, it's like revving up a broken engine. Their organs of elimination are messed up to begin with, so you're revving up a broken engine. And it can cause a lot more problems, and you know, the detox flu, that type of thing, it can cause them to be worse off. Fast, simple, easy, predictable. I used a mineral called zeolites, and okay, so most of the stuff that's bad for you in your body, like mercury and lead and even some viruses, they're electronically positively charged. Zeolites are a rare mineral that is electronically negatively charged. So they go through your body like a magnet. They're proven to remove heavy metals. I actually know, or I've met two of the authors on that study. And what's nice about zeolites, they have a low affinity for things like calcium and magnesium. They do chelate, that's very gentle. The important thing about zeolites is they have to be ground down small enough to leave the digestive system, because the toxins are not just in the digestive system, they're systemic. So it leaves the digestive system, goes into the circulatory and lymphatic systems, and goes where the toxins are. But they're out of the body within 24 hours of ingesting them. Now, aluminum is part of the molecular structure of a zeolite molecule, but it doesn't do the cationic exchange with the aluminum. It stays connected to the zeolites. And what's nice is it comes in a variety of formulations on the market. It comes either in liquid, which is really a very small amount of zeolites, and when someone has like that multiple chemical sensitivities, like if they walk through the mall and they pass by a perfume store and gives them a migraine and leaves them flat out, they need 1 drop of zeolites in a liter of water, and then they can drink on that all day. That's how toxic they are. And then there's powder and capsules, or you can buy the capsules, open it up, and there's powder inside. And then those are a lot more zeolites. Those are for someone who is capable of a larger detox. Also, the contraindications are only dehydration, because it does make you urinate a lot, and I give people specific things to drink while they're doing it. Basically, water with minerals. So it's like mineral water or broth, like homemade broth, which is wonderful. And things like beet kvass, or beet kvass mixed with something like some coconut water and a little bit of juice, so it's tastes good. And or the simple thing is a glass of water with a sprinkle of Celtic sea salt in it to give you some minerals. Oh, and chemotherapy, if someone's on chemotherapy, some of the medications for chemotherapy contain heavy metals or metals such as platinum. So it's contraindicated for while they're doing like getting that chemotherapy medicine. So what to look for in a zeolite supplement, should be this type of zeolite, clinoptilite, because there's a couple of different kinds. And it ground down micronized so it can leave the digestive system. And different companies have different words for this. Some call it cleansed, some call it activated, some call it, I don't know, there's a couple of different words for this. But the idea is that, when the zeolites are raw, they're kind of like lava rocks. And so in nature, they've taken in all these things in their little molecular cages. When they're processed by a supplement company, the little cages have been cleaned out. So then when you ingest them, the cages are empty and ready to be filled. So that's the key with that. So some call them activated. I forget what they have fancy marketing words for that. Oh, okay. So that's a picture of me running with my dog, training for the Air Force Half Marathon. But I want to tell you about a friend of mine. Her name's Jody. She has the MTHFR gene mutation. She does not have a diagnosis of fibromyalgia. She she actually had horrible migraines to the point where she was in bed for a couple of days if she encountered whatever it was that tripped her off migraine. And when she switched to a Weston A. Price type diet where she wasn't eating any kind of packaged foods, and her migraines went away. And so every once in a while she'll encounter something that causes her to have a migraine, but for the most part she's pretty healthy and she's a runner. And she lives in a farm in Ohio, and there's like fence links, so she knows exactly how far she's ran. And she runs a half a mile. And she was doing the healing cleanse with this, and she's eating a nutrient-dense diet. She's eating lots of liver and raw dairy and all that stuff. She's so farm in Ohio. And she goes running. She's been doing the healing cleanse for about, this is the zeolites with the therapeutic probiotic. She's doing that for a couple weeks, and she was able to run, she normally runs a half mile without stopping. She was able to run 2 miles without stopping. And then, to top it all off, she says, I was thinking about getting something done because my menstrual cycles were so bad. She's like, now they're fine. And she's like, I'm really cautious about this. So she's waited a month, and then she told me again, she goes, every month my periods get easier and lighter and more manageable. And that was my experience too. My periods were revolutionized. They're just not even a problem. I'm thinking, wow, I don't have to take anything as far as like pain or discomfort or anything like that. It's perfectly fine. And what I hear people say over and over again is their energies increase. Their energies, whether they're doing the healing cleanse or if they're just taking the zeolites on their own, they say their energies increase. Okay. But I like that picture of my dog. So, Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, said all disease begins in the gut. But before he said that, he said, first, treat your lawyers. Leaky gut, I love that picture. So the second D, well, the first D was detox. I think I forgot to say that. The second D is digestion. So healing your gut is a long, slow process, but it can be jump-started with a therapeutic grade probiotic. The gut is where all the food we're made on the food we eat, the air we breathe, the thoughts we think, and the water we drink. If somewhere along the line our food isn't assimilated properly, we're missing out and can cause deficiencies. The gut is also the largest system of detoxification in the body, and most alternative healthcare practitioners that I've talked to about this in depth, they feel that people with fibromyalgia for some reason hold on to toxins and they're not excreting them, and they're in toxic overload. A therapeutic grade probiotic can crowd out all the bad microorganisms. They can jumpstart the healing process of healing your gut. I've tried, I don't know how many different types of probiotics, and none of them really helped me all that well. I got them at the doctor's office, online, at the health food store, whatever. What I found was a therapeutic grade probiotic has some really specific features. They need to have multiple strains of microbes, at least 12. And they need to be colonizing, so once instead of, most probiotics are transient. Once they leave your body, they're out. They don't get into in the intestines and reproduce. Once they're in the intestines and reproducing, then they're crowding out all the bad stuff even more. Organic, and then free of artificial ingredients, and also of common allergens like gluten. The probiotic that I use, my #1 choice, has the Saccharomyces boulardii strain in it, which is the antigen to Candida yeast. And I think that, with the colonizing part, is what made the big difference. And the therapeutic grade probiotic, my first choice one, is a powder, so people can take a little tiny dose, because, they get stomach issues or whatever. My second choice has different ingredients in it. It's still a soil-based probiotic. You know, it has like 26 or 29 strains, and it's in capsules, which you can open up, and then in chewables, so little kids can eat it. The chewable ones when I give to my little boy, and I give the capsules to my son, my husband, who's like a little boy about some things when it comes to supplements. So he won't do the powder, but what's nice is they can just start with 1/4 of a teaspoon or 1/8 of a teaspoon and then work their way up to a teaspoon over time. Okay, so when I was sick, alternative therapies didn't work very well for me. The chiropractic, the acupuncture, the massage, anything like that didn't work very well. Like barely 10%, and it wasn't lasting. And I believe it was because of the underlying issues with the toxins and the damaged digestive system. Basically, nothing was working in my body. And actually, I went to get a series of this acupuncture thing, and they said, oh, this is the most powerful acupuncture thing we have. And I could be wrong, but I think they called it the dragon. And they were monitoring me really carefully, and they said, oh, you might have bad dreams and stuff. And okay, so they did it, and I found it very relaxing. But my only, the only thing that happened was, and this might be a little, not to you guys, but other people might find this a little TMI, but all it did was cause me to poop, which is kind of a big deal, but I wasn't real impressed with the dragon. I was like, oh, you know, all it did was cause me to poop. Now I know that was a detoxification reaction, and I needed to do that, but it didn't really do anything for me. So when I combined the zeolites with a therapeutic grade probiotic, they work synergistically, and that's the point here. The two together work synergistically. So getting back to growth as far as like getting the toxins out of your system of detoxification, plus healing that system at the same time, that's what caused a synergistic effect for me. So 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 anymore, 1 + 1 = 3. So that's when I thought it was cured. 3 weeks later, I thought it was cured. The pain started to go away. The brain fog lifted. I was a new person. And month over month over month, I could see significant improvements in my health. And I was able to come off the prescriptions. And I was able to lose weight. And I was able to move and do things around the house. Now, when I have any kind of holistic or alternative interventions at all, they are profoundly helpful. They're profoundly helpful. I mean, when I have a massage, they're able to get deep into the tissues and work on things they haven't been able to touch in 20 years. My chiropractic adjustments hold. And when I have acupuncture, it's like the earth moves. I mean, it's like what it was supposed to be like. You know, these things some of this stuff used to be like miracles. And you talk to someone who's been around for a long time, the treatments are less and less effective because the toxins are going up, up, up. So the results of the 2 supplements, I made what I call the healing quantum leap out of bed. Now, just so there's no confusion, that's not a picture of me, that's supermodel Heidi Klum. I got out of bed. Then I was able to do all the other things I needed to do to completely restore my health. So the third, and in my book, I go over all this information really in depth. And also with the Healing Cleanse, it's a free resource on my website, the Fibro Lady. Everything's the Fibro Lady on YouTube, my website, everything. And we have a free ebook called Lose Up to 15 Pounds in 30 Days Without Exercising, Starving, or Stressing. And it has in the chapter, like the main part of it is the Healing Cleanse. It tells exactly how someone, so if you have a patient that's interested in doing this, you just go there, get a free ebook. It has a resource guide, it has instructions. Oh, and there it is, the picture of it. It's at thefibrolady.com. Okay, diet, the third D word is diet deficiencies. So if you are what you eat, then is Hannibal Lecter more human than the rest of us? So your mother or your grandmother told you you are what you eat, but that's not the whole story. You are what you are able to absorb what you eat. So one of the first things people ask me is, what can I eat? And when someone's in a fatigued or exacerbated state, it's really hard to get nourishing food into them. So I've come up with some baby steps to get them going on it. First thing is just cut out artificial ingredients. I mean, that's more of a challenge for some people than it is others. Just start shopping in the organic section of the grocery store. You can't expect someone to, in a very fatigued state, to go head into an all organic farm food, slow cook, all that. They just don't have the capacity for it. And then I was telling you about what to drink to thirst, not push fluids. There's that. The big game changer for me, as after I recovered, I started doing the food, and one of the really cool things was I added what I consider the number one food for energy in my diet, which is liver. And it can be taken in the form of a capsule, and it is fast, simple, easy, and predictable. Now, so not only does liver high in a lot of nutrients and vitamins that really nourish you, but it also has this anti-fatigue factor. There was a study done by Urshop. Well, liver's nutrients. It's been considered a sacred food by traditional peoples for a long time. I bet you guys didn't know that when liver's raw, it's a source of vitamin C. Anybody want some raw liver? I'll tell you more about that. I know you're on the edge of your seat about that, right? Okay, so this guy named Urshop did a study where he had 3 groups of laboratory rats. So the first group was given just their normal rations and a multivitamin. The second group was given their normal rations, multivitamin, and a B complex vitamin. You always hear about B12 is for energy and stuff. The third group's of rats, they were given their food, and they were given 10% of their rations in powdered liver. And they did this for about 3 weeks, and then they set up this experiment where the rats literally had to sink or swim. They put them in a pail of water, and the rats had to swim because they couldn't climb out. So the first group of rats, the rats with just the regular food, they swam for an average of 13.3 minutes. Now, I think that's a long time. I mean, I've had to tread water for 5 minutes before to pass a test, and that was a long time to me. So 13.3 minutes sounded like a long time. Well, the second group of rats, they with B vitamins, they swam for an average of 13.4 minutes. So not much of a difference, 1/10 of a point difference. The third group of rats, the rats with the liver, let me get the number. Okay, so the worst 3 rats did 63, 84, and 87 minutes. So the worst 3 of the group of 9, or the group of 12 did over 50 minutes more than the other 2 groups of rats. Now, the other 9, they swam until the scientists got tired. They stopped at 120 minutes, they stopped. And I hope they plucked them out of the water and dried them off and put them sweetly back into their little cages. But yeah, so they swam for over 120 minutes, and they went ahead and stopped the experiment at that time. And they said to this day, they don't know what the anti-fatigue factor is, but something prevented in the liver prevented them from becoming exhausted. So when I read that, I was convinced that I needed to find a way to painlessly get liver into my diet, and I don't like liver. I couldn't believe I found a picture of a cute rat. It's kind of cute. So I'm going to start from the hardest easy way to the easiest easy way. The hardest easy way is to make a batch of something like chili that's got a lot of spices in it, or a lot of, like spaghetti sauce has a number of flavors in it. And if you do the ratio of 2 pounds of ground beef to 1 pound of ground liver, you won't taste the liver. And that's a very nourishing meal if you make it with the broth and things like that. Frozen liver pills. So this is where the raw liver comes in. You can take liver, thaw it out, not completely because it gets slippery, and cut it into little pieces, freeze it, put it in a Ziploc baggie, and take a few of those every day. And that can be your liver pills. And I had the best results from that. And I was already healed, but within 3 days I felt a surge of energy after doing the raw liver pills. And the third easiest way, and what most people start with, is it's an old school bodybuilder supplement. It's desiccated or freeze-dried liver capsules and tablets. I know of one brand that is made from grass-fed liver, and it's not defatted, which is important. And a lot of people get really good results with that. And I want to tell you about a client of mine. I can't use her real name, so we're going to call her Randy. But Randy, last summer I was in DC giving a talk, and she heard me, and she's got fibromyalgia. And she is a high-powered lawyer working for a national company you've heard of. There's no way you haven't heard of it, but I can't say what it is. And she wrote me a really long letter about some stuff she'd done the healing cleanse, and she added the freeze-dried liver to her diet. And she told me about all the stuff she couldn't do beforehand, which was, she wanted to go hiking with her teenage daughter, and the family was kind of like, why can't you keep up? She couldn't. Well, so she'd been doing this for about 6 weeks. When you remember last summer when the Pope came to DC. Well, she lives in Maryland, right there on the outskirts. She rode her bike 10 miles to go see the Pope over those big hills, like in mountainous area there in DC. And so when she got home from seeing the Pope, she still had energy, and her teenage daughter was tired. So that was pretty amazing. In our professional certification course, the Freedom from Fibromyalgia professional certification course, we do have very specific information about how to start people on this. Yes, sir.
Question, you said not liver and onions and pate, they don't work?
A lot of people find liver and onions offensive. and if you like that thing, yeah, go ahead. But the pate, I have yet to find pate that doesn't have questionable ingredients in it, that is pre-made. If you make your own, it's fine. But it's a hassle to kind of make stuff when you're ill, especially when you're in a fatigued or exacerbated state. Okay. So Randy got to see the book. So those are the 3 Ds of the physical 3 Ds: detox, digestion, and diet. The 4-letter word. So I want to briefly go over the psychological Ds: decision, determination, discipline, and the 4th bonus D of direction and support. I think it's a myth that some people don't want to get well from fibromyalgia. I think it's a myth that they're holding on to their disease because they're getting something out of it. I think it's a lack of hope. I think that they've been so sick for so long, and they've been told it's incurable. It's gotten to their spirit, to their soul, that they're just out of luck. I'm a public example of someone who's recovered. People have been recovering from this all over the world. They're just not doing it publicly. They're not writing books. They're not going around talking to people about it. But people all over the world are recovering. I just had a World Telesummit of professionals, medical professionals who are helping people all over the world recover. We had people from all over the world up on there speaking, and we had people from all over the world listening. People are getting better. It's just like an open secret at this point. And here's the deal. People want your help. They want help from a medical doctor. They don't want help, they like me okay, but they'd rather go to you. I think, and I think, you hear about someone being in an accident, car accident, and they're in the hospital, and they're going through physical therapy, rehab, and then the doctor will say to them, it's gonna take a lot of work for you to get to the point where you can walk again. You're gonna have to go through months of this and months of that, and you know, they kind of lay out for them, this is what's gonna have to happen for you to get to where you wanna be. And I think that's where the decision, you know, people need to make a decision that they're gonna do this, they're gonna make the changes. They need to have the determination to see it through. And then they have to have the discipline to do the things they need to do every day. But with your direction and support, I think that this is very doable. Now, okay. The importance of support. My holistic therapist, Victoria Smith, we actually, throughout this whole process, we actually became really close and dear friends. And she got, when I made my healing quantum leap, I think a lot of practitioners would have declared victory and moved on. I mean, I got to the point where I was starting to feel better. I was still on a lot of prescriptions. I was still not functional. I couldn't work or anything like that. But, you know, I felt better. And I think a lot of practitioners, they just say, yay, you're better, let's go. She stuck with me. She helped me get to complete health restoration. I feel better now than I ever have in my life. And I'm physically capable more than when I was in my 20s. In our certification course, we support you, we support the patients, and we also support the patients. There are a lot of free resources available with the fibrolady.com. We have recipes, we have a newsletter, we have the free ebook, we have as much information as I give away my best information freely. 95% of what I do is on the internet. This is a small percentage of what I do. And I do see people with fibromyalgia in groups like this, but as you can imagine, getting a group of people with fibromyalgia together is kind of like herding cats. So they're homesick. So I gotta go to where they're at, which is on the internet. And, but we have a online support group called the Hope Army. It's a closed Facebook group that they can join, and there's no cost to it. I monitor it. My beautiful marketing assistant Terry over here, she helps me with all that. I wouldn't have been able to do any of this online stuff without her. And we have a practitioner only closed Facebook group as well. And basically our number one goal is to help people see the light, to get them to change and to be healthy, and end the suffering. Because I think right now the suffering is needless. Hey Terry, can you pass out those forms, please? We're already on time. I can't believe it. Okay, so this is Terry, she's my marketing consultant. These are just stay connected forms. What I would like from you guys, well, first of all, we're gonna have a drawing. If you put your name in, we're gonna have a drawing for one of my guided meditation CDs. I have Restorative Sleep and Optimal Health. What I would like is some feedback from you guys, how I can make this presentation better. I'm always trying to sharpen the saw. And what I'd also like to know is if you guys had any referrals of other groups that you think would like to hear what I have to say. I do leave my town every once in a while. Not much, but I have a 6-year-old, so I only leave town a few times a year. Anyway,
I was going to ask if you get to a closed site through your website, the Facebook site.
What the instructions are to people is they have to email me their Facebook, the password, not the password, yeah, email me your Facebook password. They have to email me the email address they use on Facebook. And then what I just say is just put in the subject line, the Hope Army, put your email address there, and we'll invite you to the group. So that's how we do that. But they can always email me, they can always call me, they can always contact me. It takes me sometimes a couple of days to answer emails, but we have coaching programs, we have a book, we have, I have a client in Australia, we do Skype, we have support, I actually have physical support groups right now in Ohio, but we're gonna figure out how to do that nationally, hopefully. Yes, ma'am.
I was wondering if you do urinary testing for heavy metals before and after?
I don't, first of all, in case you guys haven't figured out, I'm not a practitioner. I am like a coach, you know, so I really, what I consider myself is a consumer advocate. I don't do any testing. That's your all's expertise, and a lot of times testing is expensive, and it might be better to just spend that money on organic food and supplements that are super targeted and helpful. And that's kind of my theory on that. Yes, sir.
Two comments. One, the Seven Dragons treatment is a treatment for PTSD. So
It didn't work then.
And the other comment is, what was the first thing that happened during your quantum leap? What really, when you got to the bottom, what was the first thing breakthrough you had?
The first thing is I felt awake.
Yeah, but what triggered the very first breakthrough? In other words,
Okay, so I started the zeolites and the therapeutic probiotic, and then 3 weeks later, I was like, hey, I actually did some stuff around the house today, and I feel awake, and I slept a little bit. And so I called Victoria Smith, the holistic practitioner. I said, what is going on? Am I cured? And she's like, no, you have a long way to go. I said, I think I'm cured. I feel so much better. I think I'm cured. And that wasn't the case, but it was dramatic. And the sicker someone is, the more dramatic the turnaround is. So I just want to review, yes?
You mentioned the liver supplement, the organic liver supplement. Can you provide the name of that?
What I like is it's called Perfect Supplements, and Radiant Life has one. The Perfect Supplements, they are dirt cheap for a supplement. The retail price is $18.95. I mean, they're for grass-fed stuff. It's pretty good.
We have the wholesale. If that's on.
Oh yeah, we have wholesale forms too. If you guys are interested in any of the supplements I'm talking about at the table.
And we're gonna need more of the green ones.
We ran it, okay. Just to review, so they start on the healing cleanse, which is the zeolites, which detoxifies, and the therapeutic grade probiotic that works synergistically, and that gets them some energy so they can make a quantum leap in their health, or the quantum leap out of bed, because Heidi Klum and I look for it. And then they can do all the things they need to do with the food and the exercise and the sleep for complete health restoration. That's my family. I just wanted to say something to you guys. I didn't come here alone. I brought Terry, but that's not what I'm talking about. I stood on the shoulders of giants. If it weren't for the support of my family and my healthcare professionals, I would not be here today. I'd still be in bed. I would not be healthy. I wouldn't be in any kind of position to help anybody with anything. I wouldn't have had a baby. And who knows if my marriage would have survived. This tears up families. It takes people out. When someone sees MD after your name, they don't know if you graduated in the top of your class or the bottom of your class. But here's what I know, you're here. You guys are here at this integrative conference. You're interested in out-of-the-box medicine. You all think for yourselves. You guys are the ones who are healing and helping people. You're the good guys. You're the white hats. You guys are the good guys, and I know it. I can't get this message out about fibromyalgia recovery alone. I do need your help. I really do. This is just too important to miss. This is my beautiful Christmas card picture. But isn't this what it's all about? When someone says to me, hey, you really helped me. I get emails and messages every day. Hey, this really helped me. This improved my life. I got my life back. That is the best feeling in the world. And I know when you guys hear that from your patients, it's the same for you. And isn't it one of the big reasons we're here is to help each other and to help marriages and to help bring about beautiful families? So from the bottom of my heart, I am very honored to be here, and thank you very much. Any more questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, what company did you use for your probiotic and for the zeolite?
Okay, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to say that.
You can't say that.
At my table, I got all the stuff,
I got you.
and we use a couple different companies. Yes, sir.
Was part of your complete recovery treatment for Lyme?
I never got treatment for Lyme. Everything, when I tell people how profoundly I recovered, I mean, I used to wear glasses, and I don't now. I mean, it's crazy, crazy, crazy. But it did. I mean, I recovered. I'm like a normal, like, you know, I go running every morning almost. Yes, sir.
It's fascinating to me, that having recently plunged into the Lyme world,
Yes, sir.
it's possible, to me, it's conceivable that you actually have or have Lyme. We now believe that there are people who have Borrelia in their bodies and never get sick, die with it. There are known to be people who are asymptomatic, who are proven to have active infection. And we don't know whether everybody needs to be treated, but I'm wondering, perhaps you could have had Lyme, it seems, and the things you did healed enough things to restore your immune system to where your immune system was able to control the Lyme.
I agree. So what he was talking about was that there are people with Lyme disease that have the antibodies that, you know, they would test positive. And maybe what I did was I'm healthy enough that I've overcame it. Lyme disease has been around a lot longer than people. They didn't used to get so sick from it. I've restored my health enough that I can withstand whatever it is. But it was very quickly. I very quickly restored my health. And I think that's something important.
If you've been that sick with Lyme, I doubt you would have recovered that well without more things that would kill bugs.
That's your area of expertise. Any other questions? All right, thank you very much.